Here he is. William Longespee. A tremendous character in English and British history. And we'll take a quick look at his effigy. So my plan for this is to do a little bit about William Longespee and then just have a look at his effigy. Really, it's a sort of a bit more than a photo record. But there isn't a lot of plate armour on him at all. In fact, the only really bit you can possibly see is there might be some plate armour under his mail for a helm, or helmet rather. He's carved from stone and he's sat on a fantastic original oak setting. You can see some of the original colours in some of the spaces. Back here talks about him being painted twice. So he was painted twice in the medieval period. You can see some of the polychrome left on the woodwork, and some in the stonework. I think he was painted twice, as the sign over there says. We've got a layer of paint, a layer of dust, and a layer of paint. Taking some of the details. So I'm on the left hand side now of him. His shield is quite high on his body. You tend to find French sculptors will move the shield further down the body. He was the illegitimate son of Henry II and was legitimised in 1188. He led quite an interesting life. He ended up being married off by Richard I to Ela of Salisbury, which is why I guess he's now in Salisbury Cathedral. He led naval action in Flanders. He was in charge of the 5 ports. He sided with John against the barons. I believe was there at signing of Magna Carta, of which they've got a copy of somewhere behind me. And he died, or was killed rather, in 1226, allegedly poisoned by Hubert de Burgh. And in 1791 or 1790s, they opened up a coffin, had a look inside, and they found him in there, allegedly with a rat in his skull, which had mummified, and the rat was found to have arsenic in it. So he may well have been poisoned. An ignoble end. And the rat is now in Salisbury Museum, so I'm told. Anyway, let's take a look at the armour. So we'll start looking at the armour. This wonderful painting that's still on the oak. Absolutely wonderful. First man to be buried, apparently, inside the cathedral. A guy of considerable note. Quick look at his shield. Very primitive looking lions, which are associated with this period. Great barn door of a shield, still relying heavily on the shield as a form of armour, although it's shrinking down from its Norman beginnings. So a few words about the armour then, principally obviously in mail in this period. Very, very little evidence for much in the way of steel. You are seeing iron shin bowels or greave fronts starting to appear. Coats of plates or their type, body armour did exist, as we can see in people like Jerome and so on, and some drawings from earlier periods. But he doesn't seem to have a lot of evidence for it on his body. He's quite sleek, relying principally on mail and padding in this dirty great shield. There might be a hint of some steel under the helm just by its shape, but it could equally be padding. They were relying heavily on padding. There might be a small helmet of some description under there, just on the crown, but they were also tying them off, and you can see the evidence for the ties just there. You can see the ventail pulled across the face and cinched just there, which would in turn pull any padding on the top of the head. I believe they pulled the padding on the top of the head to form that shape anyway. It's not a period I know an awful lot about, but his effigy is well worthy of a look. Just the workmanship on the mail alone. But the shield obscures most of him on this side. Scabbard, the remains of blue, I think it is painted there, with green highlight underneath. And spurs. So not a lot of plate armour, if any, on the chap. But still worthy of a look. We'll do some close-ups the other side, and then we'll go and look at Hungerford. So really just a sweep of my thoughts as we go up, and again his spurs, fantastically tailored mail, absolutely amazing. Not as tight as the Victorian muscle bosun Richard I outside the Houses of Parliament. You can see, look here, for example, on the sleeve, there's a definite sag, which would enable the arm and allow the arm to move. Skin tight, it certainly restricts your motion. Tied off, I think, without getting in trouble and leaning too far, possibly tied off at the wrist. Certainly in the effigies in St Denis in France, you can see their hands poking out through the palm of the mail, which is considerably longer than their arm, and then they cinched it up when they needed it. So that might be what's going on there. It's difficult to tell. Lots of paintwork, still visible. Nice red on the underside of the shield and blue azure, blue surcoat that he's got on. The top there, long, as was the fashion in this period. It's not shortened down to the shorter 14th century and then disappearing pretty much. Here's the other side of his head. You can see there's no, well, there is a little tie just there, look. Possibly pulling and cinching that top part, stopping it all from slipping, but no seam on this side, possibly one actually, now I say it, for it to tie off as it was pulled around the face, cinched in and tailored under the chin. But given that mail isn't an armour that I know an awful lot about, we'll probably leave him where he is now. There you go. William Longespee, William Longsparther, known for his height, apparently, and the length of the sword that he decided to take with him into battle. Fought in Ireland and Wales. He was the first guy buried inside Salisbury Cathedral. Well worthy of a visit if you're in the area. And now we'll move on and we'll go and take a look at Hungerford and all of the strange things that can be found on his armour.